All right, so I'm gonna make a track. My dog will move out of the way. Come on, bud. From scratch and see how it goes. I figured it'd be fun to live stream this. Really hope it's all working. Yeah, there we go. All right. So I apologize for the little box in the right-hand corner. It's live streaming a screen share from my camera's open capture software. It's a Canon EOS. If anybody knows how to get rid of that, please let me know. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to clear a project first by holding on Project, Shift, and the stop button. It actually might be helpful if we open up the app. Hopefully nobody texts me too much. So if you open up the app, I have the OPZ app. Pretty easy. Just put it right here. It's telling me to push. There's a little button on the bottom. You press that. It enables the Bluetooth. Hit scan. Hey, look, there it is, OPZ. All right. You can hit the screen button. Go there. Hit the kick drum. It opens. It does the same thing as if you were to go by hand. I don't love their layout, so I typically actually use the OPZ as the controller for the app. Just check my alignment. There we go. All right, so this basically gives you the information feedback of what you're doing on the OPZ. I'm familiar with it, so I don't always use the screen, but if you're watching this because you're trying to learn, this would be good for you to understand kind of what's happening and what the buttons I'm pushing are in here. So I usually start with either a kick or a chord. I think today I want to try starting with some chords. You can preview any of the synth engines. The synth engines are on the black keys and the presets are on the white keys. You could save your own preset by clicking and holding, and the way to get your own presets, you could adjust any of the parameters, or you could press the track button plus the record button. It randomizes things for you. It's kind of fun. A. All right, it's kind of fun. So I'm going to set the metronome. I think there's a way to tap it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, if you hold metronome and just tap I think maybe any key, but probably the white keys, you can set the metronome. So I'm going to hold record and play, and what that does is enable record mode, which means as soon as I press the first key, it's going to start recording. So that's going to be my 1. So there you go. All right, now that we have that going, I'm going to go to a kick drum. See how it feels. All right, that's cool. So I'm going to stop it. I'm going to quantize by holding track and spinning the yellow dial. I'm going to go back to my chords as well and quantize those. So I'm notoriously terrible at timing. Let's add a snare. Actually, all right, so this is a pattern. This is my first pattern in this project. So I get these, I think, 16 steps of 16 projects when holding down the project button. Otherwise, they're steps. I'm going to copy this over by pressing Shift and then the next pattern. So now we're in the next pattern. It sounds the same. I'm going to add the kick here, right? Or the snare here. These are some preloaded Z snares. I downloaded and loaded up a bunch of Maxwell snares, which are awesome. Just going to hold record and record these in. Quantize those. Get a hi-hat of some sort. It's kind of cool. Quantize those. I'm going to hold the metronome down, spin the red to get the metronome volume off. Okay, I like that, but I want some variation in these hi-hats, so I'm going to duplicate this pattern again. Now I'm in the new pattern that I just duplicated. I'm going to add some step components, and these last three are step component randomizers, and they're kind of complicated to explain, but basically you can assign them to individual steps and they will randomize at different intervals. So the thing I really like doing, I have to pull up my cheat sheet. Trigger spark, that's going to randomize the trigger. And then component spark is going to randomize a component I apply to that step, and parameter spark is going to randomize the parameter I apply to that step. And I apologize, my dog is bringing me some balls to throw for him. All right, bud, come on, hold on, sit. There you go. All right, so let's say every 2 bars or 4 bars, I want a trigger to randomize. So here we go. See if I can do this right. I'm going to hold this one because I want this step to be the one that's affected. I'm going to not ignore trigger. Ignores it. So when I want to randomize, I'm going to multiply it by 3, and for the randomizer, I'm going to randomize it every 4th. Actually, for this, I'm going to take off the multiplier. I'm going to multiply the last step. There we go. All right. I think we're ready to add a bass. I'm going to duplicate this again because I can tell it which ones to play in sequence, up to 16 patterns, 16 steps in a sequence. So here we go. I'm going to add a bass line. Stop this for a second. Let's find a good bass sound. Now you got to be careful because if you change the bass sound, I believe in the pattern, it could change them across all patterns. So you're kind of in this program and you're playing bass sounds, and the one you pick is the one that's going to go across all of your patterns, I believe. If that's not the case, then I screwed something else up last week, and I just have no idea how to get back. Let's try this one. This one's a nice low bow sound. See how that sounds. I like that. Screw up. So I'm going to clear it, hold the track and stop. You're going to clear that track. Let's try it again. So I wanted C and I hit B. Quantize that. All right. What do we want next? Let's do another pattern because I like my patterns to build. Can do an ARP. Just simple. It records what order you play the notes in the ARP, so I like randomizing it. Then if you hold shift, you can kind of preview these punch-in effects, and this one is randomized, which I think is really rad, but it's applying it to the whole synth group, and what I'd want is for it to randomize only the ARP. So what I could do is pick a bunch of these steps that I programmed in just now, recorded, and then hit the randomize. And for this one, the number tells you how many steps away it's going to randomize. So we have it set on 4 right now, which is 5 steps and 1 octave, which is cool. Let's try 5. Three is 4 steps in 1 octave. Do something really crazy like it's 3 octaves. It's kind of crazy. I like 3. Here we go. I think it's a little loud, so I'm going to lower it. So to lower it, you have these 4 dials, and there's 4 pages of parameters, and you can see what's going on the phone, right? Let me pause there. The white page of parameters, you got your basically the synth engine parameters, parameter 1 and parameter 2. You got a filter and resonance. You got your envelope filter. The next page is green. You got your ARP, because we're in the ARP, so it has special patterns, speeds, styles. This 3rd page is different for Come on, buddy. My dog's going crazy. Third page is different for the other 3 synths, and in drums it's as well as it's for the LFO. But in ARP they give you the option to change the speeds, patterns, and styles and range. And then the 4th page is effects bus 1 and 2 sends, your pan, and your volume. So I'm going to just pull that down a little bit. Much better. All right. We could go to a lead. It's pretty much the only thing we haven't used yet. There's a sound effects sampler, but really the first 4 drum kits are samplers, so you can load anything you want in them. It's just nice to keep them organized. I love this sound. Let's try another one. So this sounds kind of cool, but I want to add a lot of reverb to it, and my reverb is on my FX Send 2, so maybe some delay, which is the FX Send 1. And you could configure all that and change what effects you want and what slots, and it comes with 4 effects, and hopefully they're releasing more, but it's kind of cool. So this time I'll show you what it's like to just kind of program it. You just press whatever you want and then hit it to program it in. The notes are pretty short and I kind of want to elongate them, so I'm going to take this, holding down the track button gives you this row of parameters. Cool. I dig it. Let's pan it just for fun. And let's go to the ARP and pan. Oops. See, I was in the wrong page parameters. Cool. All right. Next, I like to go to my master track. Just notice that we're in A minor or C major, which is relative major. But I know I'm writing this in A minor because I started with the A and it's the flavor I wanted to go for. If you press these buttons on the kind of keyboard part, you can transpose, which is fun for writing melodies or whole song sections. I'm going to make it 8 bars, holding down track and shift. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just do a if we play in C. Terrible. Stick to the white keys. Stick to the scale, I guess I should say. So let's record something in. I'm just going to play around. Probably won't sound too great, but we'll see. So I don't like that. I was in the wrong octave there, so I'm going to hold that. I think that's how you copy things over. There we go. Quantize. So I don't like that note at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a D there. So you just press the note you want, and then it saves it, and I placed it there. So let's take a listen. Here we go to the C, to the D, and we're back to where we started. Cool. So now we have a little progression. It's kind of rad. And we didn't have that progression on the other patterns, right? We only had that on the last pattern we did. So if we go back to this one, it's not written in. We could program that, and we could do different things to create different parts, an A section, a B section, whatever. All right, let's see. Now let's go to performance mode. Super fun. So in performance mode, this octave gives you control over the drum parts, and this octave gives you control over the synth parts. Let's just randomize both of these things. I think I could even record some of these in. I didn't do these for too long. Can you change the note length? No, you can't. That's it. Sounds pretty cool. Normally what I do now is record it into Ableton, kind of cut up my sections and apply some compression maybe. This thing sounds great out of the box. I would perform with it without question, but throwing something up on the internet, on my SoundCloud, maybe I'd want to just tweak a little bit more, get it sounding really perfect, but it's pretty much making a track. I'll program these into a pattern by pressing pattern and play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Let's do play 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can kind of see how the pattern's progressing. Because I gave the chord progression 8 bars, it takes longer to get through the entire pattern. So all the 1, 2, 3, and 4 patterns went really quickly because they were only 1 bar each. We're now longer. We can go into screen motion. There we go. Now the screen's linked with the trigger components and the effects. I could kind of play with it too. I think I could record these in. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe. I'm told I'm supposed to say subscribe. Subscribe and like. Bang that bell, bro. See you guys later.